Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Femmegineering Women of Influence. I'm your host, Hanna Abdel Hamid. Today, I will be talking regenerative farming and ag tech with my guest, Katrina Jean-Laflamme. Katrina is the co-founder and CEO of Ukkö Robotics. It's a company that aims to simplify farmers' lives with pasture livestock automation. A mechanical engineering graduate from Polytechnique de Montreal, Katrina's career spans transportation, HVAC, and industrial robotics before transitioning to AgTech. In 2016, Katrina and her partner, Danielle Badiou, founded Ukkö Robotics, and they launched in 2021 their flagship product, Rova Barn, which is a robotic pasture barn helping farmers in Canada and the US raise poultry efficiently. Since then, the company has tripled sales and gained international recognition. Once a city girl turned a proud farm advocate, Katrina champions regenerative farming and sees farmers as a vital educators on sustainable food production. Katrina, welcome to the podcast. I'm very excited to have you with us today.
Thank you, and I was really excited to be here.
That is great. And to begin, I would like you to tell us more about yourself and about Ukkö Robotics. And also, can you share with us what inspired you to co-found a company focused on agriculture robotics, being a city girl? And from what I understood, you were born and raised in Montreal.
My name is Katrina. I'm the co-founder of Robotics. I was born and raised in Montreal, and I studied mechanical engineering at Polytech in Montreal. I graduated in 2016, and this is where I met my co-founder and husband, Danielle Badiou, and we started Ukkö Robotics. Ukkö, it's an ag tech company specializing in manufacturing and pasturing equipment. We're known for our Rova Barn. It's a 100% robotic pasture barn to raise pastured poultry. And how did I come to work in an ag and robotic company? I was always a curious person of nature, and I like the challenge of learning new things. And when I met Daniel, my co-founder, asked me if I want to join him in his ag project. And after university, I didn't have much. I didn't have a job specifically, and
Mm-hmm.
I was up to a challenge and I said yes, why not? So I moved to Manitoba and I learned how was farm. And the first day I came to Manitoba, they put me on a tractor and I I was doing farming that day. So that's how my journey started.
So, like from the get-go, they helped you kind of navigate the culture shock, if I could put it this way.
That what it was, especially coming from a bigger city like Montreal and going to a smaller village. I can say for sure it was a culture shock.
Well, I'm glad, they shocked you this way because look at you now. You have co-founded an amazing product that I'm looking forward to, to talk about more. And Katrina, so your background is in mechanical engineering and you have worked on a variety of projects from HVAC systems to industrial robots. Can you tell me how did your experience in this area helped you or led you to the field of farm automation?
For sure, university help you like working with team members, learn how to work on projects, how to think about how to resolve project. But to be honest, as a city girl, I never thought of going on a farm and found a robotic company in agriculture. This was not even in
In your
my
dreams?
exactly right. And the fact that my husband was born and raised on a dairy farm, so I had the chance to immerse myself
Mm-hmm.
in the farm and every process of farming. And this is like knowing about more about the milking cows, harvesting, baling, wrapping, seeding. It's all these little things in agriculture that you don't think about as a city girl. But being both mechanical engineer, me and
Mm-hmm.
my husband, like we had the same ground level, the same starting level, if I can say. So we
Okay.
understood each other and it was easy for us to work together.
That is a very inspiring story, and it's amazing how your personal and your professional worlds came together so seamlessly to lead you into farm automation. And I find that it really highlights how unexpected opportunities can actually shape our path in the most meaningful ways. And now that leads me to Ukkö Robotics. How is it using technology to help farmers become more efficient in their daily operations? And can you share with us some examples of the specific tools or system that you have developed?
For sure. We with the Rover Barn, we started like the first 5 years was R&D, and this was most likely to understand the product. And the
Mm-hmm.
Rover Barn is essentially to reduce up to 90% of the labor. So with automation and automate daily mundane tasks such as automated feeding, watering, and automatic ventilation system, automatic movements, those tasks are not hard tasks, but they needed to be done every day. And by automating those tasks, we can
Mm-hmm.
reduce the labor with technology and automation. And that's how we do it at Ukkö Robotics.
That's very impressive. I feel that Rover Barn sounds like a game changer for farmers, especially when it comes to reducing labor intensive tasks and also by improving efficiency. And I love how you have integrated technology like cameras and real time notification through the app. So it's clear this approach brings both innovation and peace of mind to farmers. And it's a great example of blending traditional practices with modern solutions.
Absolutely. Like the current technology on the market, it's super manual. They don't have any data that they can track.
Hmm.
So having, like you said, cameras inside for the peace of mind on a farm is a really big thing, especially when there's a storm outside or
Hmm.
you just want to check without going on in the pasture to see your animals. So now you can look into your cameras and having, like you said, having a mix of the conventional farm technology mixing with the pasture poultry housing. This is how you can get an efficient and productive system for your daily operation. So farmers
Hmm.
can work not necessarily in their farm, but on their farm so they can do something else than just the task every day, the same task.
And I would like to take this conversation a bit further. What are the biggest, or what are some of the biggest challenges farmers face today that technology, mainly robotics, can help us solve? I feel that given your expertise and given robotics, you are accustomed or you are more knowledgeable in this field. So I would love to have your feedback.
For sure, the biggest challenge, I would say, there's a lot of challenge in agriculture for sure.
Hmm.
Labor shortages, especially, this is like a international or like all over the world challenge is
Hmm.
to find good labor that will come to the farm and help you consistently. Uh, Other big challenge, just the consistency, productivity, and efficiency. It's all in the same bucket, I can say. Especially, I can give you my experience with livestock, especially because you need to attend to your animal every day, give
Hmm.
straw, give feed, or doing other tasks on the farm. Like, so automating those mundane tasks and repetitive tasks with robotic and automation can, so farmers can do other things on their farm. So having automation to reduce the need of additional labor is a way to help farmers with this challenge. As an example, especially, I'm familiar with milking robot now because I
Hmm.
live on a dairy farm. But like my parent-in-law, for a good example, they built a new barn in 2017 with two milking robots and feeding robots. Essentially, they had back in the day 30 cows, and now they are milking 120 cows with
Oh, wow.
one
That's a
per
big jump.
with one person. That's
Wow.
a great example to see how automation
Hmm.
can help the day-to-day operation, because now they don't need to go twice a day to milk cows. They have systems that help them to milk consistently 3 times the amount of cows. And the thing with robotic is, especially with milking cows, is consistency. Like animal doesn't like, how can I say, if you hire a lot of people to make your milk your cow, they'll
Hmm.
animal know when it's not the same person every day. So having like a system like a robotic milking, it's kind of the same hen that will milk the cow every day. So having this
Okay.
consistency, it will be less stress, and then they will produce more milk. So at the end of the day, having something that can do the same repetitive tasks, such as milking. You can be, at the end of the day, more productive and more efficient because the farmers can work on other things at the farm compared to milking twice a day, every day.
That's actually a very good example you've shared, Katrina. And I like to highlight how automation and robotics can actually help scale productivity in a very dramatic way. Like you just mentioned, your parents-in-law went from having 20 cows, I believe you said, to, sorry, 30 cows to 120 cows. So, like, they multiplied their cows by four. And it really shows how technology can allow farmers to focus on running the farm rather than just doing their daily tasks. But you also brought another interesting point that the fact animals are sentient beings and they can actually feel the difference if it's not the same hand milking them every day. So it creates stress. So it's like a win-win situation both for the farmers and, if I may say, to the well-being of the animals.
And if I can add on this, and robotic doesn't remove all the, like, it won't remove the people. You already, especially with animals, you will need the people to
Mm-hmm.
check your animals and do the work. They'll do the mundane task, and then the role of the farmer, if I can say, with automation, change a little bit. So they will maybe check on their machine that will take care of their animal. It's like a different type of work now.
All right, I understand what you mean. And Katrina, if you may help us understand, in what ways do you see robotics and automation changing the future of the food production? And also, do you think that tech can actually address issues like sustainability, labor shortages? We spoke a bit about labor shortages earlier, but also climate change.
So I think robotic and automation, like I mentioned, it will be more towards repetitive tasks. This
Hmm.
is just a small. You think it's a small thing, but when you're doing 100 repetitive tasks every day, it's like it add up at the end of the day. So I think how robotic and automation can help farmers at this moment is for repetitive tasks like milking robot and our system for feeding and watering. But I think like
Hmm.
more and more technology is becoming like more efficient, and there's high precision technology like for crops and pesticides. So like reducing, having more intelligent system, reducing the amount of pesticide can help also with climate change, and maybe help farmer to incorporate regenerative farming practices in their how can I say, not rotation, but
Hmm.
just incorporate more regenerative farming practices. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yeah, that's a very insightful perspective. Thank you. And once again, you have shown or you have explained how robotics can tackle, labor shortages, improving a bit the animal well-being, and also promoting sustainable practices like regenerative farming. And I know that you're actually passionate about regenerative farming. So can you please explain what it is exactly for the listeners and to myself, and also why you think it's important for the future of agriculture?
For sure. Regenerative farming is not a new concept. It exists since forever. And the thing is, like, in my opinion, we can go super deep in what regenerative farming is, but in highlight the concept is more like taking the land and the livestock and mimicking what we see in nature. Like
Hmm.
regenerative farming is more in a way like we can improve the soil, having more organic matter, sequester more carbon, simulate more new ecosystem to grow more nutrient
Hmm.
dense food. And this can be done by changing some farming practices with uh, d- don't disturb the soil as much, put green cover crop, or integrating integrating more livestock with your rotation of grain farming.
That is, thank you. It's a complete explanation. Once again, just to highlight, so basically, regenerative farming really highlights how working with nature can restore the soil, capture carbon, and produce healthier food. All this while building a more resilient farm for future generation. So, in other words, it's a truly forward-thinking approach to agriculture.
Yeah, exactly. And regenerative farming is important. I think it's important because, like you said, like there's if your soil is not good and you don't take care of your land, it's hard to grow nutrient dense food. So
Mm-hmm.
like your food come from your land, and we need to do as much as possible to like have a good retention system or have more organic matter, or just like understand your soil health. And that's how we can be more resilient as a society, as a farm. And so it's important to for the future generation to take care of our land right now for the future.
That's a very important point you're bringing. And in your opinion, Katrina, how can technology and regenerative farming practices work hand in hand to improve the food production while protecting the environment? Because I think this is a very hot topic.
Yes, so like I mentioned before, for sure, high precision tech is like most company are doing, like I said, for pesticide or just rowing
Hmm.
for crop rowing, and equipment are becoming more and more efficient and accurate. And that's how these technology in our system can help farmer practice regenerative farming more easily, and they can improve our production or their production while protecting the environment. So having the chance to have these equipment on their farm will help them to produce more efficiently and towards the environment.
Thanks for clarifying this. And now, if I may ask you, how does Ukkö Robotics contribute to educating people on how food is grown and produced, and why is it a crucial part of your work?
For sure. We try to promote our technology by showing how we raise the animal in the robot barn. For example, they have like access to a natural environment. And
Hmm.
this is really part of the process of our education because it's such a new system too. There's some system on the market, but not like ours. So we like to showcase also our farmers that use the machine so people can understand how it's done and to know their farmer. Because at the end of the day, like I was born and raised in a city, I understand how people are detached from where their food come from. Like if you want a steak or chickens, you just go to the supermarket. So having like these stories of people, and I
Hmm.
think bring the people that buys to understand where their food come from and understand the people behind their food. I think it's a great way to educate people and to try them to be curious about farmers and what they do and go see their farm. So that's our goal, to educate people.
That's actually a very interesting point you're bringing. That I myself, I don't really reflect on how the food gets to me.
For
I
sure.
just, as you mentioned, if I want to buy a steak, I'll go to the supermarket, and I find that bridging the gap between consumers and the hardworking farmer behind our food is actually vital. And by showcasing natural farming practices and sharing the farmer stories, you're actually not just educating, but you're also helping the people appreciate the effort and care that goes into producing quality food. So it's a powerful way to connect people with what's on their plate. So I think your aim at educating people is actually very important, and I commend you on doing it.
For sure. And if I can add on this is,
Mm-hmm.
like I had the chance to be in the city and be on a farm, so having both sides of the equation and understanding like how to raise an animal, what it takes, and just knowing where your food come from, your perspective of food is really different compared to when I was in the city. And to be honest, farmers are such hardworking people, and they try to produce the best produce or raise the best animal they can.
Mm-hmm.
And I think every people in the city or whatever, if you want to buy every people that buys this food, it's worth knowing the story of these farmer and be thankful, because it's a really humble profession to be farmer. We forget about it, but it's the the
It's
sources
an
of
important
every
profession.
exact,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
and we forget about it because food is so easy to get now. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, I think it's worth it
Well,
to
I am
understand.
glad we're able to kind of shed light on the importance of this profession and the journey of farmers. And now, moving from the journey of farmers, let's move to yours. Your journey has taken you through various industries and disciplines. What are some of the key lessons you have learned, especially when venturing into areas like farm automation?
don't close the door on something you don't know, because especially in my case, I didn't know farming. So I could
Hmm.
have say, oh no, I don't want to go because I don't know, but I just did go and learn a lot of things, and I was curious about it. At the end of the day, if you try something and you don't like it, at least you've tried and you know what's best for you. And I think especially in farm automation or ag tech, surrounding yourself by the best people and the people that you can learn from because they have more experience than you. It's a key lesson that I've learned through my journey. And as well as an engineering developing a product, it's kind of tricky because there's a lot of product on the market that's, that some people didn't test it themselves, or they didn't do
Hmm.
the proper testing, I can say. And being able to test our product on our farm, or on our test farm, make us realize what was working, what didn't work. And it's really important as an engineering that is developing a product, develop a better product when you test it yourself and having the same problem than the farmer that will buy your product. So I think this was like a key lesson for us, that the advantage of us at Ukkö is that we tested our product ourselves and we know what is not working, and with the feedback that we are getting from ourselves and the farmers, we can develop better product in the future.
Thank you so much for sharing, Katrina. And I just want to highlight the advice that you just gave, which I honestly find fantastic. Stay curious, be open to the unknown, and surround yourself with the best. These are amazing lessons for everyone starting a career in tech or any other industry. And I also love how hands on testing plays a key role in refining products, like you have just shared. It's a great reminder that sometimes learning and improving oneself or one product, it comes from real world experience. And I think that speaks directly to what you just mentioned about, trying what was working in farming and what was not, and coming back and rethinking it. So I think it's a very impressive journey. And I recall when we first met a couple of months ago, Katrina, you mentioned to me that everything can be learned no matter how hard it seems. So with that in your mindset, can you tell me how this helped you overcome challenges in your career?
For sure. There's I think having this mindset is really less frightened when you want to try to new venture. Like, I always come back to farming. Like, it's such a different world. I cannot stress on this. Like, I've learned so much thing that I didn't know. Sometimes
Mhm.
for sure it was frightening, but I think like more things that you try in your everyday life or in your career, your risk tolerance will become bigger and bigger. And that's how you become more resilient as a person in your career or in your personal life. So I think it's a great mindset to have when you want to start a new project and or just new venture in general.
Thank you so much for sharing this advice. I think it will be helpful for anyone who's trying to whether go into a new field or are thinking of launching their own product. I would like to go further actually and ask you, what advice would you give to others, particularly to women in tech who are navigating new challenges? I feel that you will be very helpful in that.
I would start by don't be afraid to get your feet wet and start new things. Yeah, the world has such opportunity for you, and whatever you want to try, just try it. Like, if you fail, it doesn't matter as long as you learn something and you continue to try. I think that's the key of success. And like I said, especially in new area that you're not super familiar with, I think
Mhm.
just don't hesitate to ask question and surround yourself with great people that will help you rise and will be in your back. Like, a lot of time, like as a woman, especially studying in engineering, like there was like 20% of women in my class. Like, we were a minority.
Mhm.
I How can I say, entering the world of agriculture, it was not better. Like, it's a men's world in
Yeah, it's a
agriculture.
man's world. Yeah,
Exactly right.
definitely.
And the thing is, we see more and more women in this field, and I think it's really encouraging for women and the next generation of farmers, because there's more women that want to try this, and they think they have their place, and I think it's great. And a lot of times to be honest, I've doubted myself if I was good enough to be an engineer. Like probably students in engineering say always say that, but like I was afraid like if people would judge me for my English because my first language is not English, and like doing this kind of podcast like this, it was not something that I would do back in the day. But I think like I realized at the end of the day that most people want the good for me, and they will congratulate me, and they will have more people that will want the best for me than the people that won't. So as a woman, I think just go for it and don't think too much of what people will think about you, and surround you by the best people. So I think it's the advice I can give to women in tech.
Well, that is very empowering, Katrina. Thank you so much for sharing. And I really appreciate your honesty about having self-doubt, because this is something many of us can relate to. But you remind us that most people want to see us succeed. So it's very encouraging, especially for women who are navigating male-dominated industries like yours in farming. And I feel that it's very important. And I'm very actually honored to have you here today on the podcast, because we need representation. We need, if you don't see that another woman can actually achieve success in a field that is very male dominated, you don't see little girls dreaming of becoming, I want to build robots for farming. So thank you so much again for being here, because you're representing a successful woman in ag tech, which is very crucial if you would like to have more people follow in your footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
And now, looking ahead, what is your vision for Ukkö Robotics and the future for food production?
Yeah, so at Ukkö, we're working towards like having an ecosystem of solution for pasture livestock. So we want to be the company that people think about if they want to upgrade their farm, having new automated system, if they even want to start a new farm or being a homestead. So we really want to help people do everything specifically to pasture raised livestock. And
Mm-hmm.
we want to offer our product in multiple countries, so North America for sure, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, South America. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for our product, and I think there's a lot of opportunity with our product all over the world, and I think we can take advantage of it and help farmer to be more efficient and productive.
Well, I truly hope, and I'm sure actually, not just hope, I'm sure that you're going to reach your goals, and one day we will see Rover Barn used all across the world. And finally, what advice would you give to anyone looking to make an impact in the intersection of tech and agriculture?
I think finding something that you love and go for it. That's my advice to all the people. We definitely need more people in the ag tech industry, and there's a lot of space to grow in this sector. And I think even small things can make a big impact. So, uh, yeah, that's my final advice for the tech and ag world.
Katrina, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey and vision with us today. It is truly inspiring to hear how Ukkö Robotics is shaping the future of food production, and how your work is creating real opportunities for farmers worldwide. And your advice about finding something you love and going for it resonates deeply, especially for those looking to make an impact in the ag tech space, but also for women who are trying to break through their careers in the tech industry and other industries. So once again, thank you for joining me today in the podcast, and I wish you a great continuation for Ukkö Robotics.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great being on the podcast. Thank you, Hanna.
It's a pleasure. So this was Hanna Abdel Hamid, and thank you for joining us on Femmegineering Women of Influence. Be sure to tune in again for another episode where we'll share the story of another woman breaking barriers in tech. Until next time.